Listen to Nationwide 90 FM on 90.1,
90.3,
90.7,
90.9.
or visit our Flow channel on a 916. To our valued listeners, for questions, comments, or concerns about our programs, email us at programs@nationwidenewsnetwork.com.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Robianne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In Nationwide News at this hour, the JLP says it's more than capable of successfully raising the minimum wage.
We believe it is doable, and we are resting our case on the fact that we have done it in the past, offering more to those who need it most.
But the PNP says the JLP's move is a last-ditch empty election promise.
This is late in the day, clutching at the straw to try and salvage a dying campaign.
The MSME Alliance is welcoming the proposed increase in the minimum wage, but questions why the private sector wasn't consulted.
Jamaicans in the diaspora arriving home in droves to vote on Wednesday.
Murders down 41%.
In news from the rest of the world, Guyana blames Venezuela for attack on election officials ahead of vote.
Rescue efforts continue following major earthquake in Afghanistan.
In headline sports, Jamaica registered its first win in the West Indies Rising Stars Under-17 tournament in Trinidad a short while ago.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, the JLP says it's proposing to double the minimum wage in phases.
In our first budget, the minimum wage will move from 16,000 to 18,500 and then gradually after that for the next few years.
President of the Jamaica Employers Federation Wayne Chen, President of the PSOJ Metro Siaga, and President of BITU Cavan Gale will react.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, what's your reaction to the JLP's proposal to double the minimum wage in phases? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page Nationwide News Network and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90 FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, the JTA's Action Committee has announced a pause of its pending industrial action following a meeting with the Finance Ministry on Friday. JTA President Mark Malava will join us with an update.
At 7, it's Inside the Ballot Box.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, nationwideradiojm.com, and on the Nationwide app, available on Google Play and the App Store. This Monday afternoon, it's Monday, September 1, 2025.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Chairman of the JLP's campaign committee, Dr. Christopher Tufton, says the government is more than capable of successfully raising the minimum wage. Dr. Tufton explained the JLP's stance while speaking at a media briefing at the party's Belmont Road headquarters on Monday. Mahiri Stewart has that story.
Page 94 of the JLP's I Choose Jamaica manifesto states increasing the minimum wage as one of its goals if the party secures a third term in government. The Prime Minister announced on Sunday that the minimum wage will be doubled from $16,000 to $32,000 on a phased basis. The first phased increase will see the minimum wage move to $18,500 in the next financial year. Dr. Christopher Tufton defended the proposed increase at a media briefing on Monday. He told journalists that the JLP's record of achievement with the economy will allow it to pursue the move.
We believe it is doable, and we are resting our case on the fact that we have done it in the past. The Prime Minister was clear to say that the country is moving now in a direction where it can, in fact, take off on a much steeper trajectory towards growth because we have paid down the debt, we have stabilized the economy, we have addressed crime, or certainly are addressing it. So all of those things we believe will augur well. And ultimately at the end of the day, he was clear to say, offering more to those who need it most. is an overarching policy of the government to address those that are most economically vulnerable in our society.
Dr. Tufton says the minimum wage increase will come in tandem with other initiatives being carried out by the government to improve lives.
We are doing several other things that are going to impact productivity on one hand, the negotiation of the JPS license, the training and expansion of training on the heart, the digitization of government to make things easier, the expansion of our logistics network as a country, the development of other economic activities. I could go on and on. The point that is important to be made is that we have not advanced a proposal for doubling the minimum wage in isolation of the overarching government policy to advance variables towards improving productivity.
Dr. Tufton notes that the proposed increase is also an incentive for those seeking to enter the labor force.
The incentive to pull others in the labor force, which is necessary, has to be also a combination of our capacity as a government to provide the incentive for training, but also the compensation to attract them in the labor force. And when you factor all of those things, which is why I say you can't look at it in isolation, there is more than enough justification over the next year. $2,500 increase from 16 to 18 and a half, and then further planning to get to 32 over 5 years.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
The People's National Party PNP is dismissing the JLP's pledge to double the current minimum wage as a last-ditch empty promise to claw back electoral fortunes. The PNP questioned the lateness of the proposal during what is to be their last media briefing on Monday before general elections are held this Wednesday. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has announced that the minimum wage will be doubled from $16,000 to $32,000 on a phased basis during a massed rally in Spanish Town, St. Catherine on Sunday. He also promised to eventually move the country toward a livable wage model. But with elections less than 2 days away, PNP campaign spokesman Raymond Price is questioning the timing of the JLP's proposal. According to him, the JLP said nothing regarding increasing the minimum wage over the course of 3 national debates.
Andrew Holness was also at that debate and mentioned nothing about any changes to the minimum wage. As a matter of fact, he was complaining throughout the debate and very unassertive and very ambiguous on any issue of policy he tried to cover. This is late in the day, clutching at the straw to try and salvage a dying campaign.
It should be noted that commitments to raise the minimum wage were outlined in the JLP's manifesto released nearly a week ago. However, the manifesto had no reference to the total increase nor the time for implementation. PNP junior spokesman on finance Cleveland Tomlinson is accusing the JLP of politicizing the minimum wage.
We believe that the minimum wage is something that should never be politicized, given the delicacies surrounding an adjustment of it. It requires a careful balancing act to ensure that you are taking into account the implications on both sides of the coin. So the PNP, as expressed in our manifesto on page 31, is committed to a livable wage. And this is not a commitment that we will not carry out. We will carry out all our commitments in our manifesto, but we are particularly passionate about this one because we appreciate the need to ensure that Jamaicans live with dignity and that they can afford the opportunity to experience and sustain upward socioeconomic mobility.
And Mr. Tomlinson is reiterating the PNP's promise to move the income tax threshold to $3.5 million to address what he describes as the many inequities faced by the middle class of Jamaica.
We did not pull this initiative out of the hat. We sat, we engaged with stakeholders, and we looked at the realities in the country. And the reality is that the middle class in Jamaica is being wiped out. And the reality as well is that Jamaica is heavily taxed. When you look at our tax to GDP ratio relative to other countries in Latin America and the Caribbean, then you will appreciate that Jamaica ranks among the countries with the highest tax to GDP ratio.
Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
President of the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise MSME Alliance, Antoinette Hamilton, says while the minimum wage increase is welcomed, she believes consultation should have been held with the private sector. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness announced that a phased increase in the minimum wage at a mass rally on Sunday. Khaleesi Wright reports.
President of the MSME Alliance, Antoinette Hamilton, believes the private sector should have been consulted about the proposed increase in the minimum wage.
We don't have a problem with increasing the minimum wage. I believe that our minimum wage workers, they do deserve an increase. However, the challenge we have is that taking steps like these without consulting the private sector. I'm not sure if they consulted other sectors, but not the small business sector. But taking steps like these without consulting the private sector puts us at a disadvantage because 18,500 may or may not still be reasonable for a minimum wage worker. So some may be of the opinion that probably 20,000 would have been more reasonable. Some may think 18,500 is reasonable. So that one in the first stage may not be bad, but still, in terms of a reasonable rate that the small business can afford, I think a more consultative approach would have been better.
Ms. Hamilton stresses that consultation on these matters is necessary as it directly impacts businesses.
When you look at moving to 32,000 though, even though it is over 2 years, that is a significant jump because you're talking about $128,000 to pay somebody who is normally a low-skilled person. And we have to understand minimum wage workers and the competence that they come with to the workplace. They are very low-skilled. Most times they are out of high school. Probably their family cannot afford for them to go to sixth form or university. And they enter the workplace. Now, for a small business, our revenue is not moving by 50% or 40% or 30%. Neither is our profit. So when these decisions are being made that affect directly businesses, I think a consultative approach should have been taken.
She further adds that any increase in the minimum wage must be assessed based on the pace of economic growth in the country.
We have to also look at these increases in light of the slow economic growth. You see, if there was economic activity that would allow businesses to make more profit, then of course we would welcome a much larger increase. But with all that's happening with the economy growing at a relatively sluggish pace compared to our counterparts in the Caribbean, decisions like these can put persons out of work. So even though some may increase their disposable income, some may lose their jobs because small businesses don't really have the economies of scale like some of the larger entities that can take on these additional costs.
Khaleesi Wright for Nationwide News.
And President of the Bustamante Industrial Trade Union BITU, Cavan Gale, has hailed the planned increase of the national minimum wage.
This is a bold and historic commitment. For decades, the call for wages that allow workers not just to survive, but to live with dignity has been at the center of the trade union movement. So by moving to establish a livable wage system, the Prime Minister has given a clear recognition to the fundamental truth that the labor of our people is the backbone of national development.
The union stresses that a livable wage goes beyond numbers on a payslip. Mr. Gale says the BITU stands ready to engage in the design and implementation of the phased increases.
This is the first administration in Jamaica's history to commit to such a system. The BITU applauds this system and sees it as a watershed moment in advancing fairness and justice in the world of work. We stand ready to engage constructively in the design and implementation of the phase increases of the broader framework that will give real meaning to the promise of a livable wage.
Cavan Gale, President of the Bustamante Industrial Trade Union.
In the race to 32, facts matter.
Did you know there were widespread reports of fraud coming out of the 1976 general election, especially in two corporate area constituencies? Yes, that's a fact. The general election of December 15, 1976 was marred by numerous allegations of underage voting, voter intimidation, gerrymandering, ballot stuffing, theft, and tampering with ballot boxes. The constituencies of Western St. Andrew and the Southwest St. Andrew were the epicenter of the alleged malpractices in an election which saw the PNP win 47 of the 60 seats. The results were so contentious that there were 13 election petitions filed, and the candidates in 21 constituencies requested magisterial recounts.
This nationwide Did You Know fact is part of our coverage for the race to 32 as we preview the next general election.
You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
It's IQ Optical's sizzling summer sale. For this month only, get 50% off lenses when you purchase a frame. Kids get free lenses with a purchase of a frame. Make the intelligent choice with IQ Optical. Conditions apply. The time by IQ Optical is
5:15.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is...
It's 30 degrees Celsius in Kingston and Montego Bay.
Attention motorists, it's time to switch to the T-Tag on Trans-Jam highways. The T-Tag system reduces the amount of cash handled at our toll plazas and makes it safer for our staff and motorists at the toll booths. The T-Tag makes it quicker, more cost-efficient, and safer for our customers. So switch to the T-Tag today and experience the convenience. T-Tag packages are discounted by 50% down to $1,250, including a $500 toll credit from now until September 5th.
In Jamaica, your rights are protected by our Constitution. From the right to education to freedom of expression, every citizen deserves respect and dignity. But remember, with rights come responsibilities. Let's uplift and respect each other and stand against injustice. Together, we can make Jamaica a better place for ourselves and future generations. Know your rights. Embrace your responsibilities. This message was brought to you by the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs.
Following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
In our third term, we will double the minimum wage from $16,000, what we have carried it to now, having almost tripled it, to $32,000. In our first budget, the minimum wage will move from $16,000 to $18,500 and then gradually after that for the next few years.
Why you think I love the party, yeah? Put the X beside the belly now. Proceeding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Continuing the news, with just 2 days to go before the country's 19th general election, Jamaicans abroad are arriving in their numbers to register their vote. Scores of videos circulating online show members of the diaspora flying in to partake in the democratic process. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says the increase in visitor arrivals highlights confidence in the country's democratic freedom.
I think it is a statement of the strength of our democratic tradition that our Jamaicans who are part of the Commonwealth of the country are committed sufficiently that they will, at their own expense, fly in for a short period only to exercise their franchise. I really am heartened by the strength of our democracy and the fact that we have managed an economy and a country in such a way that people are committed to making sure that the values that are so important to them are preserved in our country.
Videos and posts across social media platforms show Jamaicans arriving in the country to cast their votes on Wednesday, September 3. The posts indicate that scores of citizens are arriving at the country's two major airports. The jubilant supporters decked in their party colors are either carrying a bell or chanting "Time Come." It's understood the flood of visitors has caused some delays at the airports. One commenter on X said they waited for hours to collect their bags at the Montego Bay-based Sangster International Airport. Another individual posted that they were unable to leave their plane 1 hour after arriving at the airport as kiosks and conveyor belts crashed from overuse. Mr. Bartlett says, contrary to now, visitor arrivals would decrease during an election period.
This month, the growth has been a little over 3%. We think that this year will be, and I think more so that it is an election year, the performance is strong. In most instances, election years are characterized by reduction in arrivals. That's certainly the case of the U.S. You're outbound tourism dips during the election period. But we are seeing an increase in arrivals, that notwithstanding the elections.
Edmund Bartlett, Tourism Minister.
Murders are down 41% since the start of the year. That's according to the latest crime data from the Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF. Up to August 30, 459 homicides had been committed across the country. That's 326 fewer murders when compared to the corresponding period last year. The JCF says St. Andrew South remains a hotspot, leading the country's murder tally at 55. The division recorded 31 fewer murders than the 68 committed in the period last year. According to the force, shootings also saw a major decline of 35%. St. James took the top spot with the highest drop in both major crimes. The division recorded 51 fewer murders than the 92 committed in the period last year. The only other major crime to report a decline is rape, which is down by 26%. However, the JCF says break-ins and robberies are still increasing. Both major crimes rose by 29% and 11% respectively up to August 30.
All pension arrears have been disbursed to the bank accounts of pensioners under the National Insurance Scheme NIS. That's according to the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. In a statement on Monday, the ministry says the disbursement is for pensioners who receive payments by direct deposit. It says pensioners will receive a one-off arrears payment. That payment is the difference between the increased pension rate and the old pension rate for the 5-month period covering April to August. The ministry added that all technical challenges have been resolved. Pensioners will also see payments of the new increased NIS pension rates in September.
This is a nationwide election nugget.
The JLP's Juliet Cuthbert Flynn is seeking to become the second Labourite to win 3 general elections in West Rural St. Andrew. The West Rural St. Andrew constituency was first created for the 1959 general elections. During that election, held on July 28, it was won by Arthur Leon of the JLP. Leon failed to retain the seat at the next general election. The first and to date only candidate to win 3 general elections in the constituency was the JLP's Mavis Gilmore. Gilmore won in 1976, 1980 and 1983. Cuthbert Flynn first secured the seat in 2016. The Olympian turned MP defeated Paul Buchanan by 2,098 votes during that election. Cuthbert Flynn was re-elected at the general election held on September 3, 2020. She's now seeking a third time, this time at the expense of the PNP's Joan Gordon-Webley.
That was a nationwide election nugget.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute. Security forces in Guyana say a boat carrying election officials and ballot boxes was shot at from the Venezuelan shore in the contested Essequibo region. In a statement, the police and Guyana Defense Force say the incident occurred on Sunday ahead of Monday's general election. According to Guyana security forces, the patrol that had been escorting the officials immediately returned fire. No one was injured. The security remained mum on who was behind the shooting, but insisted the shots had been fired from Venezuelan territory. They added that the ballot boxes on board the boat had been delivered safely to the remote polling stations they were destined for. Venezuela has denied being behind the incident. The country's defense minister has accused Guyana of inciting a conflict by blaming Venezuela for the shooting.
Desperate Afghans clawed through rubble on Monday in search of missing loved ones after a strong earthquake killed 800 people on Sunday night. The more than 2,500 were injured in the 6.0 magnitude quake. Entire roads and communities have been cut off from accessing nearby towns or hospitals. The International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies said search and rescue support, emergency healthcare, food, clean water, and restoring road access to reach isolated communities are urgently needed. The disaster comes as Afghanistan reels from a severe drought, aid cuts, and an unprecedented hunger crisis.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, the JLP says it's more than capable of successfully raising the minimum wage.
But the PNP says the JLP's move is a last-ditch empty election promise.
The MSME Alliance is welcoming the proposed increase in the minimum wage, but questions why the private sector wasn't consulted.
Jamaicans in the diaspora arriving home in droves to vote on Wednesday.
I'm Robeanne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
Since 1995, we've been your go-to source for everything related to billiards, amusement machines, and electronics. With locations at 1A Lindsay Terrace, Kingston 10, and the Village Plaza, Big Bridge, Savannah, Lamar, we offer top-quality pool table parts and accessories, cutting-edge gaming machines, and more. We also specialize in assembly, sales, and service of amusement machines. We provide unmatched customer service, expert solutions, and products tailored to your needs. Who are we? We are Eclipse Enterprise. Telephone 876-960-3891.
The following is a paid announcement by G2K.
This is how PNP President Mark Golding conducts himself.
No guy in a parliament can't tell me nothing. I just step up and get putting on them too.
We have to make sure, say, every comrade, if they're still alive, and even some who are not alive, you know, if them can deal with it, no problem.
Yo.
That's a damn fool. She has no class. With Mark Jefferson going in as the Prime Minister and a top honorary set of people around me to run the country.
No, sir, him not look Prime Minister material at all. We can't trust him to run Jamaica.
The proceeding was a paid announcement by G2K.
The wait is over. Spark is coming to you. Across Jamaica, we'll be fixing 10 roads per constituency. Over 100 roads will be fixed by September and 630 roads overall. This is real action, real improvement, real results. Every Jamaican deserves safer, stronger roads. Spark, the next chapter in Jamaica's infrastructure development.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Jamaica ended the West Indies Rising Stars under 1750 over tournament with an easy 6-wicket win over Guyana under the Duckworth-Lewis method on Monday at the National Cricket Centre in Couva, Trinidad and Tobago. The game was reduced to 21 overs aside because of rain, and Jamaica, chasing 119 to win, finished off the contest with a boundary from Ryan Littleton.
And that's how at least Littleton wanted to finish it off. It was a short delivery from Hetmeyer, and he went back, he pulled it, and hit it with all his might. And that was the winning boundary that Jamaica needed to get over the finish line.
Littleton was left unbeaten on 22 and Ordained Binns not out 57 as Jamaica reached 122 for 4 in 19 overs and 5 balls. The two put on an unbeaten fifth wicket stand of 51 for Jamaica's first victory of the tournament, coming at the end. Guyana had earlier posted 118 for 6 from the allotted overs. Leg spinner Ramnever Singh bagged the 3 for 25. In other games, Trinidad and Tobago beat Barbados by 23 runs at Gilbert Park. And while the clash of the islands, the Leewards against the Windwards, it was scheduled for Inchan Addy Park, was abandoned without a ball bowled due to rain. Record champions, the Trinbago Knight Riders bagged their 4th straight victory of this year's CPL, beating the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots by 12 runs on Monday.
Brilliant! Absolutely outstanding! It's a chance, it's not easy! It's taken! And for now, it is a 4th consecutive victory at home for this Pooran-led Trinbago Knight Riders, and it allows them now to qualify for the playoffs.
The Knight Riders made 179 for 6 in their 20 overs. Veteran all-rounder Kyron Pollard made 65 from 29 balls, and he hit 8 sixes in response. The Patriots were coasting at 126 for 2, but a flurry of wickets and dot balls topped their innings at 167 for 6. The left-arm seamer Nathan Edwards bagged the 3 wickets for 30 from 3 overs and 2 balls. Champions Cavalier are currently holding a 3-1 lead over Arnett Gardens at sports time in their Ray and Nephew Jamaica Premier League game at Sabina Park. It was Arnett who took the lead on 10 minutes thanks to Roshike Kelson. However, Cavalier hit back with 3 goals in 19 first half minutes to be comfortably ahead, and with a chance of ticking off their first victory of the season. Arnett have so far conceded 8 goals in their opening 2 games of the season, following their 5-1 thrashing by Racing in their opening game of the season. Meanwhile, last season's beaten finalists Mount Pleasant Academy and Malines United are goalless early in their game at the Mobay Sports Complex. In the feature game of the doubleheader to kick off at 7:30 this evening, Montego Bay United will square off with promoted Treasure Beach. And finally in sports at this time, Liverpool on Monday completed the signing of striker Alexander Isak from Newcastle United for a British record transfer fee, £125 million. In fact, sources claim the deal could be worth as much as £130 million with add-ons. The 25-year-old Swedish international had a medical on Monday before signing a 6-year contract. Isak, who will wear the number 9 shirt for the Reds, says winning trophies with his new club is his biggest motivation. He says Liverpool is the perfect place for him to grow even further and to take his game to the next level and help the team as well. Liverpool had an original £110 million offer for Isak rejected in August, but they've now landed their first choice target for the summer. And it was almost a perfect day for Liverpool, but a £35 million move for the Crystal Palace star England international defender Mark Gahey fell through. The 25-year-old had a medical with the Reds, but Palace's failure to sign a replacement meant the deal collapsed in the end on deadline day. That's sports. We're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Cubby's Baby Wipes is ideal for your baby's delicate skin, infused with vitamin E and aloe vera, and available for home or on the go. The time by Cubby's Baby Wipes is
5:32.
From Kingston to the world, from Montego Bay to new adventures, and from Ocherias to endless possibilities. Wherever you're headed, we will proudly take you there. Jamaica's Airport, your global gateway. The temperature brought to you by the Airports Authority of Jamaica is
30 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. That's the same in the western city, Montego Bay.
Want to save money and still protect your engine? Get Chevron Supreme Sin Blend Motor Oil, the blue bottle with a silver stripe. Now upgraded to synthetic blend, so your engine runs cleaner, longer, and stronger. Now available island-wide at service stations and leading auto parts stores. Ask for Chevron Motor Oil, your favorite blue bottle with a silver stripe. That's Chevron Sin Blend, your engine good friend.
The following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party. The proceeding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10 or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales for a better choice in the electrical business.
Following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
In our third term, we will double the minimum wage from $16,000, what we have carried it to now, having almost tripled it, to $32,000. In our first budget, the minimum wage will move from $16,000 to $18,500 and then gradually after that for the next few years.
Why you think me love the party, yeah? Put the X beside the belly now. Proceeding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Save fast and accepted in more locations.
Multilink. Access every time, everywhere I go. Multilink, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use Multilink. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multilink logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multilink, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multilink?
Last 5 years, the real big ticket moment in Jamaica for 2025. The PNP, JLP, JPP and Independence all line up here for a titanic clash. And after months of preparation, it all comes down to this.
On your marks. Set. Oh, clean start from the orange and the green. The JPP and Independence are closing in, but this race is between the Comrades and the Labour Right. Comrades, Labour Right, Comrades, Labour Right.
The Race to 32, September 3, 2025.
On Revo TV.
Good afternoon and welcome to Nationwide at 5. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I begin with a smile, Ricardo, because of that race. Is it supposed to be a competitive race or is it a concocted race?
It appears competitive. Of course, we're not very long now from finding out who crosses that finish line, that magical number of 32.
Yes, and in our cover story this afternoon, the Prime Minister announced his plans to increase the minimum wage over the life of the next Parliament. The Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness, says the minimum wage will be doubled from $16,000 to $32,000 on a phased basis if his government is returned to office for a third term.
He says the move is intended to shift the country's lowest earners toward a livable wage system. Dr. Holness made the announcement while addressing a mass rally in Spanish Town, St. Catherine on Sunday.
Well, we're not seeing that video of the Prime Minister making the announcement in Spanish Town on Sunday, but we are going to be discussing it because there have been reactions. Some say the reactions are ranging from positive to negative. And we're going to canvass the views of three people this afternoon, including the president of the private sector organization of Jamaica. He joins us on Zoom, Metri Siaga, and the president of the Bustamante Industrial Trade Union, the BITU, Cavan Gale. He's also on Zoom. And we're going to be joined as well by the president of the Jamaica Employers Federation, Wayne Chen.
Just before we get to the gentleman, Cliff, here is the Prime Minister's announcement in Spanish Town.
So, over the next few years, in our third term, we will double the minimum wage from $16,000, what we have carried it to now, having almost tripled it, to $32,000. In our first budget, the minimum wage will move from $16,000 to $18,500 and then gradually after that for the next few years.
So, reactions now from Metri Siaga, the president of the PSOJ, the president of the BITU, Cavan Gale, and the president of the Employers Federation, Wayne Chen. Let me begin with you, Metri Siaga, your reaction to what you heard on Sunday evening from the Prime Minister.
Well, thank you, Cliff, and welcome. Thanks for having me, and good afternoon to all your listeners and people watching online. I think that the initial reaction was when we heard double the minimum wage, there was a shock. There's no doubt about it, because many small businesses would have a serious problem with that. After doing a deeper dive into the full statement and realizing that at the end of the next fiscal budget, it would be increased to $18,500, that seemed more palatable. I think that from the PSOJ standpoint, it is very clear that we feel that all employees should get a minimum wage that is a livable wage. So let's start with that as a premise. We don't feel that people should be working and not able to meet the basic requirements that they have. What we would have hoped for was some consultation, and still hoping for that. We hope that we'll hear from the Minister of Labour sooner rather than later to say, listen, these are the details, this is how we plan to do it. The other thing is that we feel that increases in wages generally, of which minimum wage is one of those increases, should be based on a couple of things. One, we do have a minimum wage commission, and we want to make sure that this passes the test of that minimum wage commission. Two, we want to make sure that wages are aligned to productivity. We cannot continue to be an unproductive society as we are, where our productivity levels keep flat or falling for the last 20 years. We just can't continue that anymore. So the wages needs to reflect the increase in productivity. And thirdly, we feel that the wage increase should be tied to the inflation rate. I think once those three things are taken into account, we will be okay with the gradual increase that is proposed.
Let me ask you, Metri, because there's a view that whenever something is done for the poor, the private sector, the first thing they say is, were the steps followed? Did we do this? Did we do that? Yeah. And there's a view that it really is just a way to mask a reluctance to pay people what they are deserving of. How do you respond to that?
That's an unfortunate position that some people do hold. I agree with you. And the private sector, listen, the private sector cannot operate without good employees. It's just as simple as that. And I want everybody to understand that the private sector would be nothing without the men and women that make up its workforce. We get that. Any businessman or woman worth their salt realizes that the human capital is a critical component of their ability to make money.
Cavan Gale, I suspect you're welcoming the increase.
With open arms. You know, there was a commitment in the manifesto and first of all, let me say good afternoon to your listeners and viewers, and thank you for having me. You know, there was a commitment in the manifesto of the GLP to sustainably move the minimum wage. Now, this announcement I'm viewing as a bold and historic commitment. You know, for decades, the call for wages for workers, not just to survive, but to be able to live with some level of dignity, it has been at the center of the trade union movement. And this is not only moving the minimum wage, but tying it to a livable wage, which has always been the call of the trade union movement, to establish a livable wage system. It's a very serious commitment, and it is the first that I'm seeing an administration in the Jamaica's history to commit to such a system where you're not only moving the minimum wage, but you're allowing a wage level to be competitive, to be sustainable, to be livable, where the workers can feed their family, continue to pay their bills, continue to go back to work, and to be able to be part of a labor force. Listening to the Prime Minister yesterday, he had made mention that in terms of our minimum wage, we are still behind the rest of CARICOM. And you have to take into consideration that there are no borders nor boundaries to our labor force now. Our labor force can be migrant. And if we move to that level of a livable wage, you can continue to retain and attract persons within the labor force, despite the fact that our unemployment rate has reduced significantly to 3.8%. So I believe it's a bold move. I share the view with Metri that in this move there are going to be concerns, and it allows for that kind of collaborative consultation to take place, where you have an ease of mind between employers, working group, and all the stakeholders that are involved. The structures are already in place. You know, we have the Minimum Wage Commission. We also have the Joint Industrial Council that reports and advises the Minister of Labour. And within reasonable time, I'm looking for an announcement from the Minister of Labour to come out and to call the stakeholders together, have this kind of important consultation go forward to bring confidence into this move.
Hold it there first, Cavan Gale, the BITU president. After the break, we'll bring in the president of the Employers Federation, Wayne Chen. That's after the break.
Clear your barrels and personal shipments with ease and convenience. Request a customs contactless clearance today through CCP at jca.gov.jm. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
12 minutes to 6.
Burnt Shack fried chicken always ready. Original crispy. Burnt Shack, Cajun spicy. Burnt Shack, a barbecue. Burnt Shack, we are going Burnt Shack.
The temperature brought to you by Burnt Shack Fried Chicken in Kingston, Montego Bay, and Ocho Rios is
28 degrees Celsius here in Kingston, 27 out west in Montego Bay.
Looking for superior quality transportation from an international award-winning provider? Well, look no further. Choose Island Car Rentals, Jamaica's leading car rental company, setting the standard for ground transportation in Jamaica. For over 50 years, Island Car Rentals has been your trusted partner for reliable, top-quality vehicles. But we're more than just a car rental company. Need an airport transfer at any hour? Heading out of town and want to travel in style with a private chauffeur? Need a truck to rent for business or personal use? Or maybe you need a customized shuttle or tour for a large or a small group? Whatever your transportation need, Island Car Rentals has you covered. Call us today at 876-926-8012 or 876-929-5875 or visit www.islandcarrentals.com to book your next trip. Because Island people take better care of you.
Following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
In our third term, we will double the minimum wage from $16,000, what we have carried it to now, having almost tripled it, to $32,000. In our first budget, the minimum wage will move from $16,000 to $18,500 and then gradually after that for the next few years.
Why you think me love the party, yeah? Put the X beside the belly now.
Preceding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Want to reduce your high electricity bills? Then Peak Energy has the solution for you. From grid-tied to hybrid solar inverters with full lithium-ion battery pack. Installation and maintenance packages available. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hill, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar.
Welcome back to Nationwide at 5, and we're on Nrivo TV. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And 48 hours before Jamaicans go to the polls on Wednesday in their 19th general election, the issue of the minimum wage, yes, has emerged as a major talking point on the election campaign, the last 2-3 days of the campaign, with the Prime Minister's announcement in Spanish Town last night that if he were to return to power, he would double the minimum wage over the life of the next term. That's 5 years. He said in the first budget of the new government, the minimum wage would move from $16,000 per week to $18,500. And by the end of the term, $32,000 a week. That has set off a lot of discussion. And we're hearing reactions this evening from the president of the PSOJ, Metri Siaga, as well as the president of the BITU. And we're now going to hear from the president of the Employers Federation, Wayne Chen. What's your reaction to the news, Wayne?
Not at all surprised. We have paid close attention to the increases in minimum wage over the last several years. We are represented on the Minimum Wage Commission, which is a tripartite commission, and I will say right up front that we were unaware of this new increase, but it follows a pattern that has been well set. For those who don't recall, 5 years ago, the minimum wage was $7,000 per week, and it's now at 16, so it has more than doubled in the last 5 years. So doubling again in the next 5 years is aspirational, but given our track record, we have done it before. It may well happen again, but I want to start by saying that we can't have a discussion about improvements in the minimum wage and divorce it from the point that Mitra raised earlier. And the main point is we have to match it with improvements in productivity. We can't just keep moving the wage and not having the commensurate improvement in productivity. And in fact, much of the discussion that has taken place in the last several years in Jamaica is around building the macroeconomic stability, which was elusive for decades, about building a foundation for strong and inclusive economic growth. But we have not yet made that pivot. And after the silly season is over, I pray that whichever government, in fact more than prayer, we plan to work with whichever government is there on the 4th of September to say, how are we now going to do the hard work of the productivity improvements that the country needs and the economic strong and inclusive, and I want to use the term because my colleague Kavan is here, economic growth that Jamaica needs for proper social and economic development. And what are the components of this? We need to move to a high-skilled society. Only 40% of the Jamaican workforce have certified skills, and the world is rapidly changing. So upskilling and certainly identifying the skills that the global market is willing to pay for is critical. We have to build resilience into the economy. So we have to diversify away from our dependence on remittances or dependence on tourism or dependence on agriculture, which are all vulnerable to exogenous shocks. And as the COVID pandemic and most recently Hurricane Beryl has taught us, we are quite vulnerable as a small developing island economy.
Wayne Chen, can I interrupt you for a second? Because before we get to all of that, don't we need to first define what exactly is a livable wage? What does that constitute? What is that?
I don't have it at my fingertips, but it's certainly something that Jamaica has signed on to. Kavan would be pretty familiar because a part of the tripartite discussion that we have had for decades is around the global decent work agenda. And a livable wage would afford a family, a household, a decent shot at having a shelter for themselves, having food on the table, having sufficient time for the work-life balance, and so on and so forth. But it would mean, the Jamaican dream, owning a home, having access to good health care, having access to a pension when you decide to stop working, and so on.
But what is that in a figure?
And if we're saying those are the benchmarks for the livable wage, and we're complaining about this doubling of the minimum wage, it doesn't sound to me like we're ready to accept a livable wage. Kavan?
A livable wage, if any government in the past could have conjured it out of, by just passing a law, it should have been done a long time ago. Clearly, it needs more than just a declaration of intent. It needs a whole ecosystem. A livable wage means a different thing in a different context. If Jamaica had a very robust social safety net, if we had, universal and good education, which we strive for, universal and freely accessible healthcare, which we strive for, but more than that, unemployment insurance, a good pension system, and so on and so forth, the wage would be less. If you have to find those things on your own, if you have to go out and buy health insurance, if you have to go out and pay for private education or private lessons or whatever, the livable wage would be more. So my call really is for us not just to talk about the minimum wage in isolation. It doesn't stand as a discrete entity. It has to be part of a bigger conversation around the economic transformation that Jamaica has to have, and which is difficult in midterm, difficult in silly season. It's something that we have to have on the 4th of September going forward. And I think collectively here, Mitri, Kavan, myself, and others, we have ideas as to what it will look like. We need to move the education transformation much more quickly. We need to have a much more fulsome discussion around the social safety net and what it looks like. We have something called Sparrow, which a lot of people aren't aware of, but it was announced, I think, a year and a half ago, around unemployment insurance. There are quite a few things that we have to discuss, and the minimum wage, not the minimum wage on its own. Can we move to $32,000 in 5 years? Well, we moved from 7 to 16, and we haven't had any major loss in employment. But there are sectors in Jamaica that will say rapid move will make them uncompetitive. And I think immediately of the global services / BPO sector. I think of hospitality, where we are competing with low wage destinations. So we need a more fulsome discussion in a few days from now. But certainly something that we have to have.
But wait, isn't that an insidious thought? To think that if you pay people what they deserve, you're going to be uncompetitive. It sounds to me like we're asking the poorest among us to work for peanuts.
Not at all. Not at all. We cannot take a wage out of context. If that was the case, why not set it at $40,000 or $50,000? The fact is that we operate in a real world, in a real economy, as I said earlier, vulnerable to not just exogenous shocks, but subject to competition. If we suddenly say, by a wave of the magic wand, that the minimum wage was to go to X, $20,000. Let us say $20,000. It has an upward push on every wage in the economy, because that helper who is now working or that clerk in a small business would get an increase. Well, the person who had to scream to pay them would also demand either higher prices for their goods and services or higher wages themselves. So it is not something that you can do willy-nilly. It is something that has to be structured, which is why you have a minimum wage commission that consults and studies, which is why you have to, for sustainability, think of all the other things that goes into that transformation and that, as I said, that pivot to growth that we have to implement. It's not an easy thing to transform an economy that has been used to doing things certain ways, but it's possible. But it's more likely with the tripartite social dialogue approach that we have been so successful around with programs like EPOC and so on.
Well, let me go there.
Trying to take some discussion.
Let me go there with Cavan Gale, the Minimum Wage Commission, Cavan Gale. It seems to me that it will have to do much more than crunching the numbers. It has an enormous public education job ahead of it, because when we speak of this notion of a livable wage, we have to get to the point where we bite the bullet and say, what is that figure? And that is the one, and that is the big bear in the room that we're skirting around.
And that figure at some point in time has to be determined. The Minimum Wage Commission has been working at the base level, the minimum wage itself, and defining and determining that minimum wage. But listening to the Prime Minister over the last couple of months, there has been a consistent thread in his presentation. Training and developing and upskilling the labor force, and then tying that labor force to productivity. But you first have to move the people out of, who are at the lowest level, out of this cycle of poverty. Because the person who can't put food on the table or pay the bills or send their kids to school, they are not going to be focusing on developing themselves. So taking them out of that cycle of poverty is the first instance. Then we treat to determining what that minimum, that livable wage ought to be. And then at a point in time, very soon, we're going to have to talk about the productivity levels and aligning payments to performance-based and productivity so that we can have a more competitive labor force. But it has to start somewhere in terms of determining that livable wage.
Very good, Cavan. But you're going to have a tough job as a union leader when you have to deliver to your members that, listen, your level of productivity is not at that point where you can get more than X+1 and as against the next person who really is at a productivity level so they can get 2X.
And are you prepared to deliver that kind of message?
And that is where our informed trade union, in consultation and in educating its members and having that committed collaboration with the employers, can work. And also, on the other hand, if you have a system in place where there are incentives towards having productivity-based bargaining, then that can be some sort of a catalyst. That is where we have to go if we are going to be competitive as a labor force, and if we are going to be able to give back to our workers. But we have to start the dialogue somewhere.
Correct. Metri Siaga, we have 30 seconds. We're giving the last 30 seconds to you. Metri.
Thank you, Cliff. And listen, I think we need to recognize that wages and salaries just don't come out of the air. They come based on productivity. And we need to improve our productivity. We have said that for many, many years. And the time has come for us to sit down with the unions, with the Jamaica Employers Federation, work together to get our workers upskilled so that we can be more productive and add value at a higher level so that we can grow the size of our economy.
Thank you. This is a watershed moment on nationwide when the employers and the unions are agreeing.
Yes, let's see how long that holds.
Thank you very much, Metri Siaga, President of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, as well as Wayne Chen, he's President of the Employers Federation, and Cavan Gale, the President of the Bustamante Industrial Trade Union. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We pause for the headlines.
Cover Story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Save fast and accepted in more locations.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
5 minutes after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Norige Banton. Chairman of the JLP's campaign committee, Dr. Christopher Tufton, says the government is more than capable of successfully raising the minimum wage. Dr. Tufton explained the JLP's stance while speaking at a media briefing at the party's Belmont Road headquarters on Monday. Page 94 of the JLP's I Choose Jamaica manifesto states increasing the minimum wage as one of its goals if the party sources a third term in government. The Prime Minister announced on Sunday that the minimum wage will be doubled from $16,000 to $32,000 on a phased basis. The first phased increase will take the minimum wage to $18,500 in the next financial year. Dr. Tufton told journalists that the JLP's record of achievement with the economy will allow it to pursue the move.
We believe it is doable, and we are resting our case on the fact that we have done it in the past. The Prime Minister was clear to say that the country is moving now in a direction where it can, in fact, take off on a much steeper trajectory towards growth because we have paid down the debt, we have stabilized the economy, we have addressed crime, or certainly are addressing it. So all of those things we believe will augur well. And ultimately at the end of the day, he was clear to say, offering more to those who need it most is an overarching policy of the government to address those that are most economically vulnerable in our society.
Dr. Tufton says the minimum wage increase will come in tandem with other initiatives being carried out by the government to improve lives.
We are doing several other things that are going to impact productivity on one hand, negotiation of the JPS license, the training and expansion of training on the heart, the digitization of government to make things easier, the expansion of our logistics network as a country, the development of other economic activities. I could go on and on. The point that is important to be made is that we have not advanced a proposal for doubling the minimum wage in isolation of the overarching government policy to advance variables towards improving productivity.
Dr. Christopher Tufton, chairman of the JLP's campaign committee. The People's National Party, PNP, is dismissing the JLP's pledge to double the current minimum wage as a last-ditch empty promise to claw back electoral fortunes. The PNP questioned the lateness of the proposal during what is to be their last media briefing on Monday before the general elections are held this Wednesday. PNP campaign spokesman Raymond Price says the JLP said nothing regarding increasing the minimum wage over the course of 3 national debates.
Andrew Holness was also at that debate and mentioned nothing about any changes to the minimum wage. As a matter of fact, he was complaining throughout the debate and very unassertive and very ambiguous on any issue of policy he tried to cover. This is late in the day, clutching at the straw to try and salvage a dying campaign.
It should be noted that commitments to raise the minimum wage were outlined in the JLP's manifesto released nearly a week ago. However, the manifesto had no reference to the total increase nor the time for implementation. PNP junior spokesman on finance Cleveland Tomlinson is accusing the JLP of politicizing the minimum wage.
We believe that the minimum wage is something that should never be politicized, given the delicacies surrounding an adjustment of it. It requires a careful balancing act to ensure that you are taking into account the implications on both sides of the coin. So the PNP, as expressed in our manifesto on page 31, is committed to a livable wage. And this is not a commitment that we will not carry out. We will carry out all our commitments in our manifesto, but we are particularly passionate about this one because we appreciate the need to ensure that Jamaicans live with dignity and that they can afford the opportunity to experience and sustain upward socioeconomic mobility.
And Mr. Tomlinson is reiterating the PNP's promise to move the income tax threshold to $3.5 million to address what he describes as the many inequities faced by the middle class of Jamaica. And with 2 days to go before the country's 19th general election, Jamaicans abroad are arriving in their numbers to register their vote. Scores of videos circulating online show members of the diaspora flying in to partake in the democratic process. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says the increase in visitor arrivals highlights confidence in the country's democratic freedom.
I think it is a statement of the strength of our democratic tradition that our Jamaicans who are part of the Commonwealth of the country are committed sufficiently that they will, at their own expense, fly in for short periods only to exercise their franchise. I really am heartened by the strength of our democracy and the fact that we have managed an economy and a country in such a way that people are committed to making sure that the values that are so important are preserved in our country.
Edmund Bartlett, Tourism Minister. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay Banton. Sports is next.
Following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
In our third term, we will double the minimum wage from $16,000, what we have carried it to now, having almost tripled it, to $32,000. In our first budget, the minimum wage will move from $16,000 to $18,500 and then gradually after that for the next few years.
Why you think me love the party, yeah? Put the X beside the belly now.
Preceding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, is a financial reporting firm that delivers accounting and compliance services on time. Call us today at 876-908-0486-7. Email us at clientservices@cocnjamaica.com or visit our website at www.cocnjamaica.com. COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
following is brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
We estimate that there are about 20 to 25,000 who are unemployed because they do not have any skill. They are a loss to our economy. And we have tasked hard to find these 25,000. Go out into the communities, put on your training fairs, have specific agents out there doing your reconnaissance and surveillance and finding these youngsters. Get them into your training program. Offer them stipends and bus fare and lunch money. But more than that, what they need mentoring. Because oftentimes they simply do not know about the opportunities that exist. They exist on the periphery of the system and they are skeptical of the system and they don't believe that the system is set up for them. Your country needs you.
Be smart. Choose hard. The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Champions Cavalier, they're off the mark in the Ray and Nephew Jamaica Premier League. They came from behind to beat Arnett Gardens of 3-2 at Sabina Park this afternoon for their first victory of the season. It was Arnett who took the lead on 10 minutes thanks to Rashike Kelson. However, Cavalier hit back with 3 goals in 19 first half minutes before Arnett made it a nervy last 22 minutes of the game. They scored a second in the 68th. Arnett have so far conceded 8 goals in their opening 2 games of the season following their 5-1 thrashing by Racing in the season opener. Meanwhile, last season's beaten finalists Mount Pleasant Academy and Malines United are goalless early in the second half of their game over at the Montego Bay Sports Complex. In the feature game, set to kick off at 7:30, Montego Bay United will square off with promoted Treasure Beach. Liverpool on Monday completed the signing of striker Alexander Isak from Newcastle United for a British record transfer fee £125 million. In fact, sources claim the deal could be worth as much as £130 million with add-ons. The 25-year-old Swedish international had a medical on Monday before signing a 6-year contract. Isak, who will wear the number 9 shirt with the Reds, says winning trophies with his new club is his biggest motivation. He says Liverpool is a perfect place for him to grow even further and to take his game to the next level and to help the team as well. Liverpool had an original £110 million offer for Isak rejected in August, but they've now landed their first choice target of the summer. It was almost a perfect day for Liverpool, but a £35 million move for Crystal Palace England international defender Mark Guéhi fell through. The 25-year-old had a medical with the Reds, but Palace's failure to sign a replacement meant the deal collapsed. Newton Sterling, head coach of Campion College, says the school is banking on their success last Manning Cup season to propel them to a better showing in the 2025 edition. Campion College managed to reach the quarterfinals last year, which marked their first appearance at that stage since 1989.
Getting to the quarterfinals last season was a big deal for the school and for myself, a new coach and a young coach going into the Manning Cup who played the game. So this season, more a boost for them. It's on a high, but you also have to remember you don't want to keep them thinking about last season. Like we don't want to dwell on that. We want to play football this season. Going on last season, we won't let you get back to the quarterfinals and the semifinals. We have to go there and take it one game at a time.
Drawn in Group D, Campion College will clash with the likes of St. Catherine, Clancarty, Penwood, Pepin, Eltham, Norman Manley and Innswood. And Sterling says while he's also anticipating a tough season, it will all come down to who equip themselves better on the field of play during the games.
I think they'll do well this season based on games we have played in the preseason here and watching them and doing stuff that I think could get them that far. And I think they should be able to do it. Just remain calm, play simple, do the right thing. And it's just all about come out on the day.
That's Newton Sterling, head coach of Campion College. Jamaica ended the West Indies Rising Stars under 17 50-over tournament with an easy 6-wicket win over Guyana under the Duckworth-Lewis method on Monday at the National Cricket Centre in Couva, Trinidad and Tobago. The game was reduced to 21 overs aside because of rain, and Jamaica, chasing 119 to win, finished off the contest with a boundary from Ryan Littleton.
And that's how at least Littleton wanted to finish it off. It was a short delivery from Hetmeyer, and he went back, he pulled it, and hit it with all his might. And that was the winning boundary that Jamaica needed to get over the finish line.
Littleton was left unbeaten on 22 and O'Dane Baines not out 57 as Jamaica reached 122 for 4 in 19 overs and 5 balls. Both put on an unbeaten fifth wicket stand of 51 for the first victory of the tournament for Jamaica, which came in the end. Guyana had earlier posted 118 for 6 in their allotted overs. Leg spinner Ramnaresh Singh grabbed the 3 for 25. In other games, Trinidad and Tobago, they beat Barbados by 23 runs at Gilbert Park, and the clash of the islands, the Leewards against the Windwards. That game was scheduled for the Ancient Alley Park but was abandoned without a ball bowled due to rain. Sprint hurdler Akira Nugent is brimming with confidence and anticipation as she prepares to lead a formidable Jamaican women's sprint hurdles contingent into the Tokyo World Championships, where the showdown with the United States promises to reignite one of athletics' fiercest rivalries. Jamaica will send 4 sprint hurdlers to a World Championship, a signal of the nation's continued depth in the women's 100 hurdles, a discipline long dominated by the Americans. Amoy Brown, Megan Tapper and Danielle Williams, the reigning world champion, are the other 3. Nugent, the Diamond League champ and 2021 World Under-20 gold medalist, believes the Jamaican presence in Tokyo is reminiscent of the golden era of Jamaican sprinting.
It is a great feeling, that we're setting the bars higher than it has ever been as the year progresses, and to see that we're getting better each year. We're getting better and better and better. It's to be a part of that history is just you feel like back in the days boat history, but we're making that over hurdles.
That's national record holder over 100 meters hurdles, Akira Nugent.
This is Nationwide's World Championships Countdown.
As a countdown to the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo continues, we look at a rivalry that has shaped the World Championship, the women's triple jump. From 2013 to 2016, Colombian great Catherine Ibargüen reigned supreme in the women's triple jump, but the rise of the Venezuelan superstar Yulimar Rojas in 2016 transformed the event, sparking a South American rivalry that quickly made the discipline one of the most eagerly anticipated on the global stage. Armed with back-to-back world titles in 2013 and 15 and the Olympic crown in 2016 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Ibargüen arrived at the 2017 World Championships in London as the one to beat. Yet Rojas had already announced herself on the big stage with a world indoor gold in 2016, Olympic silver in Rio, and the world leading mark of 14 meters 96 that season. Just weeks earlier, at the Hercules Diamond League meeting, Ibargüen had edged Rojas by a slim 3 centimeters, setting the stage for another massive showdown in the British capital. In the final, the Olympic bronze medalist Olga Ripakova opened with 14 meters 45 before Rojas immediately surpassed her at 14 meters 55. Ibargüen soon stamped her authority. She leapt 14 meters 67. The second round saw Rojas pushed into the lead with 14 meters 82. Ibargüen inched up to 14 meters 69. Round 3 brought more drama. Ripakova leapt 14 meters 77, only for Ibargüen to respond with 14 meters 89, and she reclaimed the lead. The climax came when Rojas answered back with 14 meters 91, snatching victory by just 2 centimeters to claim Venezuela's first ever World Championship gold. Ibargüen had to settle for silver, Ripakova taking the bronze.
That was Nationwide's World Championship Countdown.
And of course, Nationwide 90 FM will have live and complete coverage of the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan. It starts on September 13 in Tokyo, but it starts on September 12 here in Jamaica. And that will do it for sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:22.
The following is a paid announcement by G2K.
This is how PNP President Mark Golding conducts himself.
No guy in a parliament can't tell me nothing. I just step up and get 40 from them too.
alive. And even some who not alive, you know, if them can deal with it, no problem.
Yo.
That's a damn fool. She has no class. With Mark Jefferson going in as the Prime Minister and a top honorary set of people around me to run the country.
No, sir, him not look Prime Minister material at all. We can't trust him to run Jamaica.
The proceeding was a paid announcement by G2K.
It's time for a new look.
And high time to get serious about protecting our home and investment.
It's time to choose BH Paints with over 60 years experience in quality paint finishes. Their products are superior and long-lasting.
Time to check them out.
Ask about BH Paint's 100% acrylic Ultima Plus paint and primer in one. Experience rich colors with advanced UV and mildew-resistant technologies, independently tested by experts. What are you waiting for? Visit a BH Paints Color Center today.
Getting ready for school is as easy as KB. Shop at Kingston Bookshop between July 14 to September 6, 2025 for your chance to win big in our back to school promotion. Spend just $5,000 before GCT, shop online or in store, and you could win $150,000 in cash, an HP laptop, or a Samsung Galaxy Tab A9. It's back to school the easy way, only at KB. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Enough power tool, big to small. Chaka my figure dig the wall. Our total tools. Beat back a figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand. Total tools. We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option. Total Tools located at 102 Main Street, Outer Rias, 34 Slipe Road, Kingston, and Lot C6 Jackson, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
The following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
In our third term, we will double the minimum wage from $16,000, what we have carried it to now, having almost tripled it, to $32,000. In our first budget, the minimum wage will move from $16,000 to $18,500 and then gradually after that for the next few years.
Why you think I love the party, yeah? Put the X beside the belly now.
Proceeding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Robianne Williams. A special good evening to our friends over on our YouTube platform. Thank you so much for tuning in. We ask you to weigh in live in the comments section on today's Public Opinion. How close we are. We're very close. Yeah? Very, very close to that day. Well, let's talk about what happened last evening. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says the minimum wage will be doubled from $16,000 to $32,000 on a phased basis if his government is returned to office for a third term. He says the move is intended to shift the country's lowest earners toward a livable wage system. He made the comments while addressing a mass rally in Spanish Town, St. Catherine on Sunday ahead of the September 3 general election.
We will double the minimum wage from $16,000, what we have carried it to now, having almost tripled it to $32,000. In our first budget, the minimum wage will move from $16,000 to $18,500 and then gradually after that for the next few years. People are not making a decision to leave what they are doing. Many of them are at home, many of them are at the street side, some of them are hustling, and so the incentive to work at that level is not strong enough. So by increasing the minimum wage gradually, you shift the incentive to work in favor of work. So you're going to get more Jamaicans voluntarily deciding to move out of the unemployment pool and into the labor pool.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. So, in public opinion this evening, we're asking, what's your reaction to the JLP's proposal to double the minimum wage in phases? To the comments now, I'll turn to our X platform where Andre Lawrence is saying it's a welcome move. Jamaica has been stuck and stagnant for far too long. With a stronger economy, the standard of living for all citizens should rise. Shanae saying doubling the minimum wage in phases shows the JLP is serious about improving people's lives while keeping the economy stable. It's the kind of balance between compassion and responsibility Jamaica needs. Damian Meeks saying to us that doubling the minimum wage in Jamaica within 5 years would make Jamaica into middle income territory and the highest within the region. This propeller is as regional leader. Christopher Clark is saying it wasn't in the manifesto and therefore a last-minute idea. JLP, not sincere, just desperate and shameful. All right. I believe the campaign manager had rebuffed that comment earlier today. Dwayne is saying that JLP loves the poor and improves their lives by increasing the minimum wage, while PNP says they love the poor and keep them in that vulnerable condition to manipulate and secure votes. It is unconscionable for people to expect to benefit from increase in tax threshold and 15% minimum wage rate, but begrudge a phased increase in minimum wage. PM Holness is right. No one should be left behind in the development of JA. Those are the comments coming from Nothing to Declare. Let me move to our Instagram platform where Donovan is saying great move, increasing to 18,005, then gradually increasing over 3 years to 32,000. This manifesto benefits all Jamaicans. Tax threshold moving from 25% to 15%, a win for all Jamaicans. Nathaniel is saying it is really good. Hopefully the businesses can afford to pay it though. Dominus is saying it is good. The upside is that minimum wage increase, regular wages will too. Downside is employers might have to absorb some of the cost and consumers will absorb some of the cost, but it is gradually done. He's saying if it is gradually done, there shouldn't be any fallout. On Facebook, Art Jones is saying the phrase doubling the minimum wage over the next few years signals that the government is aiming for a gradual, staged increase rather than a sudden doubling. Daphne McCreath here saying that it is good news. It was $6,000 then the 1 p.m. takeover, and since 2016 the 1 p.m. has more than doubled the minimum wage. Let me see. I figure vote, says Dean Stainless. I figure vote for this. Time come for poor people start make money. Marvin Mawau is saying it's going to shake things up. Unless this is going to take place over 10 years, it's going to have a massive impact on the workforce. Bringing the minimum wage to 32,000 per 40-hour work week in a 5-year term will certainly drive the unemployment rate back up. Something Andrew boasts about. George Elliott is saying another excellent move in addition to the rural school bus system, which together will win this government as well. A well-deserved third term. Fluffy Diva Nash D is saying he has been doing it phase by phase for over several years. Therefore, we trust that it can be done. Let me move to our YouTubers. What's your reaction to the JLP's proposal to double minimum wage in phases? Let me see if I can get in some more of these comments. This is Roger Shippy. Roger Shippy saying yes, increase in phases for sure. Melanie is saying it's a great move and a responsible way of doing it. Let me see. Thank you so much, Ronald. I saw your comment. Unruly Akeem is saying no handout. No handout. Them don't read the book, says Kingsley Graham. That's what Kingsley is saying. Them don't read the book. Arlene Graham believe it's a great strategy. M. Morant is saying, let's be fair and not make this complicated. Who does not want a pay increase? That's a question coming from M. Morant. Who doesn't want an increase? Sharon Bless said, tell me how your boss feel about the salary increase. Well, I want to tell you. G. Paul Mack is saying, excellent move. So too Alfred Anderson saying it's a great move. I am sure. Let me see if I can get in this one. Roger Shippey saying, remember the minimum wage was already increased over 150. So why can't we increase it by 100 over a number of years? Let me see. All PNP put on minimum wages $500. That's according to Jack Wilson, not a view of Robian. Thank you so much, Philip. My question is, what does the PNP consider a livable income? That question is coming from Noel. Noel wants to know, what does the PNP consider a livable income? Nature saying, I thought the PNP loved the poor. Why are they opposing this now? Getting the wrap-up signal, guys. Wow. Exciting times ahead. Exciting times ahead indeed. I anticipate to see what will happen over the next few days. Yeah? The business report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:35.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is
30 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 29 out west in Montego Bay. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robian Williams. Shares in Chinese electric vehicle maker BYD slid by as much as 8% on Monday after it reported a drop in profit because of a price war in China's car sector. The car maker had on Friday reported that its net profit fell to $6.4 billion or $900 million US between April and June, down 30% from a year earlier. The carmaker said in its filing that increased price competition among China's EV brands had impacted the industry. The head of the European Central Bank has warned that if President Donald Trump were to undermine the independence of the U.S. Federal Reserve, it would represent a very serious danger to the global economy. Christine Lagarde said if the Fed was forced to respond to political diktats, it would have a very worrying impact on economic stability in the U.S. and therefore in the rest of the world as well. And finally, the currency markets at the close of trading today. It cost 161 Jamaican dollars and 9 cents to buy $1 US, 217 Jamaican dollars and 97 cents to buy £1 British pound, and 119 Jamaican dollars and 5 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Robian Williams. Good evening.
Following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
In our third term, we will double the minimum wage from $16,000, what we have carried it to now, having almost tripled it, to $32,000. In our first budget, the minimum wage will move from $16,000 to $18,500 and then gradually after that for the next few years.
Why you think me love the party, yeah? Put the X beside the belly now.
Preceding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Remember to take your new voter ID card to the polling station on election day. You may still vote without your ID card, but the process will be faster if you have it with you. If you don't have your ID card, you must answer questions, be fingerprinted, and take an oath before you can vote. Bring your voter ID card and make it easier on yourself and others. That was a message from the Electoral Commission of Jamaica.
You
know what's sweet? The new pack Sweet Living promotion. Win great prizes. Living room set, or bedroom set, or kitchen appliance set, plus 2 consolation prizes of AC units. Send in 5 new pack labels or receipts. Labels must belong to at least the new pack canned beans or peas, new pack ketchup, and new pack oil categories. Fill out the tagline, new pack, more than just value. Place your entry in one of the drop boxes at participating outlets. Enter by mail or online at newpackjamaica.com. Time to live sweet. Enter the new pack Sweet Living promotion, July 13th to September 6th. See the press for more details. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Luxuries Act.
We are the best at what we do. At Hose Assembly and Supply Limited, we supply hose fittings and tools. We guarantee we can't be beaten when price and quality are combined. You brand us the Hose and Tool Boss because we deliver the most effective industrial solutions. Come in and experience the joy of shopping with Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. Call us 876-923-3936 or visit 173 Hagley Park Road, 2 Charlesworth Crescent or Montego Bay Trade Center. Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. More than just hoses. Now open every Sunday.
Looking for superior quality transportation from an international award-winning provider? Well, look no further. Choose Island Car Rentals, Jamaica's leading car rental company, setting the standard for quality transportation in Jamaica. For over 50 years, Island Car Rentals has been your trusted partner for reliable, top-quality vehicles. But we're more than just a car rental company. Need an airport transfer at any hour? Heading out of town and want to travel in style with a private chauffeur? Need a truck to rent for business or personal use? Or maybe you need a customized shuttle or tour for a large or a small group. Whatever your transportation need, Island Car Rentals has you covered. Call us today at 876-926-8012 or 876-929-5875 or visit www.islandcarrentals.com to book your next trip. Because Island people take better care of you.
The following is a paid announcement by G2K.
This is how PNP President Mark Golding conducts himself.
No guy in a parliament can't tell me nothing. I just step up and get put in front of them.
We have to make sure, say, every comrade, if they're still alive, and even some who not alive, you know, if them can deal with it, no problem.
Yo.
That's a damn fool.
Listen.
She has no class. With Mark Jefferson Gordon as the Prime Minister and a top honorary set of people around me to run the country.
No, sir, him not look Prime Minister material at all. We can't trust him to run Jamaica.
Listen.
The proceeding was a paid announcement by G2K.
Jamaica's largest tile selection just got even bigger. Discover what's new at Active Home Center. With our latest arrivals, it's easier than ever to make your space truly unique. Explore ocean blues, botanical greens, and soft sandy neutrals that bring a calm, effortless vibe. From bold patterns to sleek, large format tiles in glossy or matte finishes, every room makes a statement. Shop now at Active Kingston and Montego Bay. Active Home Center. More savings, more choices.
Track and Field's global showpiece heads back to Asia for its 2025 staging. The World Athletics Championships from Tokyo, Japan is live on Nationwide 90 FM. September 13 to 21.
Great start from Seville, who's got a little bit of a march on. No love. Seville's going to win this. Brilliant race. He even has time to salute.
How will the Jamaicans stack up? The likes of Kishane, Oblique, Nikisha, Tina, Sherika, and Lavelle, all seeking podium spots.
Really good running on the near side too from Tia Clayton. Tia Clayton takes it there.
And the world will say goodbye to Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
Watch for Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
She brings the curtain down on her 18-year career. She goes back to where it all started.
And she's going to do it. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
Live every moment from the World Athletics Championships from Tokyo, Japan, September 13 to 21 live with a kind of coverage only Nationwide 90 FM provides.
Good evening once again. Thank you so much for staying with us here Nationwide at 5 on Revo TV. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Ricardo Brooks.
Good evening again, Ricardo.
Good evening, Cliff. Good evening to the viewers and listeners.
Good. So in this segment, we continue to look at the issue of the JLP minimum wage proposal and the PNP income tax threshold. Both major political parties at the late hour have bolstered their economic plans to the promises to the Jamaican people.
Now, the governing Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, on top of promising a phased reduction in the income tax rate from 25% to 15%, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has now promised to double the minimum wage.
The proposal would see the rate move from the current $16,000 per 40-hour work week to $32,000.
And the JLP is promising that this will be done on a phased basis. On the part of the People's National Party, the opposition leader Mark Golding has promised an increase in the income tax threshold. He wants to move it to $3.5 million.
The move, according to the PNP, is to be implemented starting April 1, 2026.
To assess these proposals, we're joined by Head of Market Research at JMMB, Theodore Mitchell. Good evening, Mr. Mitchell.
Good evening, Cliff. Good evening, Ricardo. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us.
And tell me, Theodore, as Head of Market Research, it is your job to assess these things and to give JMMB some excellent technical advice as to their implications.
Indeed it is.
Okay, good. So,
what has been that advice?
Yes.
In terms of the JLP's proposal, let's start there. What are the implications?
Which one? The one? All right. So let's start with the increase in the minimum wage. We have to be mindful that there are different classes of businesses. There are large businesses like ours, JMMB. There's also the government. If you may recall, the government does not pay minimum wage. The average individual working in the government earns above minimum wage. Within the economy, there are, micro and medium-sized and small entities that they face different constraints as opposed to the big businesses. So a significant rise in wages will definitely have a negative effect in terms of their profitability and their ability to meet wage payments if it is that you have significant rise above revenue intake. And by significant rise above revenue intake, if it is that we should assume that companies are growing just above increasing inflation, to grant increases in wages way above inflation, it could undermine their profitability and ability to maintain competitiveness across various industries. So you could very well see a situation where some businesses may fold. There's also the issue with respect to, say, for example, security companies. They sign contracts with various entities, so it is that they don't get increase on an annual basis, so to speak. So, when it is that you have an increase in wages for security guards, if to the extent that those contracts would take time to be renegotiated, it has implication regarding their ability to meet, other obligations, including the additional wages. Mm-hmm. So one has to be mindful with respect to the proposal, the quantum of the increase. Well, the truth is, assessing what the Prime Minister said, he did indicate that it is on a phased basis. So, I think it is that he's mindful of the sort of effect, implication that it could have on businesses, and therefore it will not be done instantaneously, but rather over time. As to the time frame, I have not seen a proposal myself to, indicate as to what timeline is given, but, if it stays over a period of time, then the impact will not be as significant as if it is that it were to be, one-off over a period of a year or so.
Well, Mr. Mitchell, help us, Theodore. What the Prime Minister did say in the first budget of the new term, he would move the minimum wage from 16,000 to 18,500. Yes? That's an increase by my math of about 12.5%, 13% in year one. Is that math correct?
But repeat that, please, Chris.
He said during the first budget of the third term, it would be moved from 16,000 per 40-hour work week to $18,500. By my back of the envelope arithmetic, that is about 12.5%, 13%. Is that correct?
Yes, that's 15.6% there.
That's what?
From 18.5, moving from 16 to 18,500.
Yes.
It's giving me nearly 16%. That's a 16% rise.
16%.
16%.
Right. And then, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Theodore.
So we call it, as I said, you have micro, small and medium-sized entities that, the growth in their wages, not wages rather, but the revenue flows is not, necessarily 15 or 20%. So in a environment where it is that those entities are heavily dependent on wage labor to facilitate, their activities, increase of that quantum could have grave implications with respect to their continued operation. So one has to be mindful regarding, how it is that we adjust wages, especially for entities that are operating within those spaces.
But Theodore, how do you respond to the argument that over the life of this administration, it has already effectively doubled the minimum wage, and we have not had the kind of fallout we hear people worried about? In fact, I think I heard the finance minister with you this morning, Cliff, making that very argument. How do you respond to that?
Well, you have seen an increase overall in terms of the economic growth rate relatively, over the last 5 years compared to, say, 10 years ago. So you're seeing growth, and that is reflected in terms of the revenue flows for micro and small entities. So what you have is a situation where wages is not necessarily kept pace with the increase in revenue flows by some entities. So, having done the adjustment, it's a matter of bringing up those the wages to match relative increases in revenues. Now, to the extent that you have pretty much doubled the minimum wage, you are now operating in a framework where, if it is that you continue to increase wages at a much faster pace than the growth in corporate revenues, it could have implications with respect to their operation. While it is that you have not had mass foliage in terms of businesses, if it continues apace, you could see where it is that it has negative implications. So it is that, notwithstanding the fact that you have not seen it, it's an indication that, some companies, for the most part, have been able to grow, increase their revenues relatively compared to the wages that they paid, because it is that, the government at the time did not move the minimum wage until it took some time to make the adjustment, right? So to the extent that the adjustments have been made, as I said, if it's a case where it is that they continue to adjust the minimum wage, which is a cost to the corporate, if it is that the corporate is unable to grow their revenues at a much faster pace than the increase in wages, to the extent that, as I said, small, micro, medium-sized entities, wages and salaries constitute a significant portion of their costs, it could definitely have implications with respect to their continued viability over the medium to long term.
Let me read for you, Theodore, exactly how the Jamaica Labour Party has worded this promise, because it is in the manifesto, contrary to suggestions that it just came out of thin air. It says, "We will build on our record of minimum wage increases by continuing to review cost of living, inflation, as well as our economic and employment conditions, ensuring that work lifts people out of poverty and delivers a decent standard of living for every Jamaican." Is that too vague, or does it suggest that they're thinking about the things that they need to be thinking about?
It is, for someone like me, it is not vague. What it is saying is that they will think about it holistically, recognizing, as I said, that there's implication if it is that you should increase the minimum wage at a faster pace than revenue is actually growing, especially for small and medium-sized entities. So, they will have to assess the pace of economic growth, the pace of inflation, and within that context, adjustments will be made to the minimum wage so as to reflect the economic reality, because it is that it's a balancing act. The wages are paid by corporates, and corporates operate in an economic environment where it is that revenue growth will depend on the ability to meet these payments over time. And if it's a case where it is that wages are growing at a faster rate than revenue for small entities, they could have serious challenges in terms of continuing operation over the medium to long term.
Can we switch gears now, Theodore Mitchell, to the proposal of increasing the income tax threshold to $3.5 million? Yes? I want to hear your assessment of how feasible that is, given what we have heard from the PNP on how they're going to finance it.
Okay, so based on what I've heard, assessing the increase in the threshold, it will definitely have implications with respect to what is called tax expenditure, which is fallout in terms of the tax intake that the government will normally obtain, because now it is that you are increasing the threshold. One other thing in terms of assessing the income tax relative to, say, a GCT, one has to get a grasp in terms of how many persons are actually paying the income tax and the tax brackets that they fall into. So it is not an easy relatively easy as it would be for, say, the GCT to assess the GCT if it is that it were to say a 1 or 2% increase. It's a little more challenging. That said, you will have revenue fallout, if it's done, if it's done one-off or if it's done over time, to that definitely have revenue fallout. Now, the concern with increasing the tax threshold at this point in time, or just simply engaging in any activities that result in tax expenditure, is recall it is that we have made significant strides in the macro front in terms of containing the fiscal deficit, owning relatively high primary surpluses to bring down debt to GDP. But, that has to be given context to recognize that, an economy or the government is not just operating only to pay debt. One has to be mindful of the implications on the general populace. For a long time, we have had a situation where it is that in terms of policy prescriptions are usually done for persons, at the lower end of the income bracket. Jamaica doesn't have a viable middle class. I think it is that for the most part, the middle class need a break, in terms of taxes. They have bear the brunt of the burden over the last 10 years as it relates to the fiscal adjustments that have been made. But, one has to be mindful, as I said, about the sort of implication that adjustment in wages in the tax threshold could have in terms of the fiscal deficit. assessing the numbers, we could see it is somewhere in the region of about $30 to $40 billion. It could potentially be more, right? As I said, the data is somewhat disjointed. If it is that you don't have it, we don't have it a handle on it as it is that we do with the GCT, right? But a deficit in the region of $30 to $40 billion in terms of the rather tax expenditure. But on the other hand, if it is that workers do get that break, it will have some positive effect with respect to GCT. There's a relatively high marginal propensity to consume, within the Jamaican public. That is to say that let us, for every $100 increase in income, the household is likely to save no more than 10-20%. So over 80% is actually going into consumption. So you will get back some revenue there from the GCT. Likewise, it will help to facilitate growth, at least in the short to medium term. So that by way of the expansion in the economy, we would also get some.
So in summary,
growth there.
In summary, in layman's language, Theodore Mitchell, what's your assessment?
The assessment is that I am given the fiscal impact. I much prefer for policies to be structured in a way where it is that it doesn't have the one-off impact in terms of expansion of the deficit because of the signal that it could send. So if it is done over an extended period, to lessen the deficit as well as to, send a positive signal that, the government will continue to maintain fiscal discipline in the face of balancing the fiscal act, then, I am for such proposal, notwithstanding, being a worker myself, getting additional income is always welcome. But I am mindful that I am an individual within a broader economy and therefore has to be mindful of the sort of effect that expansion in the fiscal deficit could signal to the wider capital market, and it could potentially have some negative ripple effects. But that said, I truly believe that even if it against the backdrop of an expansion in the deficit, given the sort of economic growth that we have seen over the last couple of years, that the deficit will be plugged and be effectively minimal, over the medium term.
We're out of time. Thank you very much, Theodore Mitchell. Theodore is Head of Market Research at JMMB. Thank you very much
for your time. We're going to take a break.
Good.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, it's Inside the Ballot Box with Cliff Hughes.
The following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party. The proceeding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis, Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of The Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
Thank you so much for staying with us. It's Nationwide at 5 on Revo TV, and we now present Inside the Ballot Box as we cover the 2025 general election. It's the race to 32.
In today, preparation and execution. As voting gets underway, let's take a closer look at the behind-the-scenes machinery that keeps the electoral process running smoothly.
In a word, it comes down to organization. Organization. And what does that mean practically? It means that you mobilize, and you would have been mobilizing your supporters, your workers, long before election day. And what that means, you'll have done what is called a canvas to establish the level of support your candidate and party enjoy among the voters on the electoral list. And that's why you hear the parties say, you know, they have their people going out into community A to do their canvas for the next week. And what does that do? They go house to house and they are prompted, trained to ask the residents of that house, what do you think about the government? If you are with, let me act as if I were a canvasser. To gauge what they think about your party, they will ask them, what do you think about the Prime Minister or the leader of the opposition? Yeah? Do you think he's being effective as opposition leader or Prime Minister? And based on the questions, they can then pick up whether you are leaning to my party or against my party. If they are not sure, they say doubtful. So they would put doubtful beside your name. Now, how does that work on election day? That is very important on election day. Because what they then do is to go back to the party office and they say, okay, in this community of Springfield, there are 300 voters. Based on our canvas, we think we have 100 of them. We think the opposing party has about 90 of them. And the rest, we're not so sure. So we have to go fight for those now. So an election, before election day, the candidate will have to go and visit those who are said to be doubtful. Meaning you may be able to convince them. That is when the candidates now, depending on the canvas, go house to house to find Damian Scarlett, because he would have been told that, listen, he's not so sure, but he could be convinced, he could be persuaded. And they go after you and try to get you to come over their side. On election day, the parties have their canvass results, yeah, and they say, okay, we know we have in the community of Springfield 110 votes. We have to go for those people and get them to the polling station. So that's your base document now. And their runners, yeah, their PD captains, polling division captains, who manages the runners, yeah, say, listen, polls open at 7 o'clock, and at 9 o'clock, when they check who has voted in that particular polling division, of our 110 voters, only 30 have voted, while for the opposing party, 55 of theirs have voted. That is when now the organization kicks in. Yes, but we are running behind. We need to go into Springfield now with the runner, the canvasser, or the transport operator, the taxi, to go get out those 110 voters before 5 o'clock. That is organization. It also means that you have to ensure that all your workers are in place by 7 o'clock. Yes? So your system has to be firing on all cylinders, that by 5 o'clock, everybody's up and about, where you're assembling, and then you distribute them, you transport them to the respective polling stations. Yeah? You make sure them get them tea. You make sure you have to organize lunch. You make sure everybody have them paper to provide their report. So after 1 hour of voting, how many labor rights have voted? How many comrades have voted? Yeah? And then that becomes the list, the intelligence that is needed, fed back to the party headquarters or wherever is a constituency organization, fed back to them, and they then put in place the remedial work to go find those people to bring them to the polling station. That is organization on the day. And if you don't have people, you don't have money, you don't have resources, you don't have goodwill, in a tight race, you can't win.
You might have noticed individuals at polling stations wearing party shirts, engaging with voters and helping to facilitate the voting process. But who are these individuals and what's their role on election day?
They are the people who we call the runners, the PD captains, yeah, who are the eyes and ears of the party. So they see you coming and they know that you are a PNP voter. Yeah? The PNP runners will make sure you know where to go to vote. Where's your polling station? Yes? And we'll tell you, Mr. Hughes, your polling station is number 47 in the hall. But there are several polling stations in the hall. So you must know that you will be told you're going to polling station 47. In fact, even before election day, yeah, when they train their workers, part of what the parties do is to give guides, voters' guides to their constituents. Yeah? So they tend to go around. Election day is September 3. All the people, if the parties are really organized, both parties will send out their voters' guide, yeah, to their potential supporters, so they know where the polling station is. It might be a polling cluster, so they have to know where it is, yeah, and they are reminded to vote this way. And they usually say vote early.
us inside the ballot box on Revo TV as we cover the 2025 general election. It's a race to 32, and it won't be long now. After the break, we'll take your calls. Soon come.
The NHT has boosted construction loan limits to 11 million for one applicant and up to 23 million for 3 co-applicants. We are building Jamaica.
The time by the office of the Prime Minister is
14 minutes after 7.
Burn Shack fried chicken always ready. Burn Shack original crispy. Burn Shack Cajun spicy. Burn Shack a barbecue. Burn Shack we are going Burn Shack.
The temperature brought to you by Bird Shack Fried Chicken in Kingston, Montego Bay and Ochivios is
30 degrees Celsius in Kingston City and 29 out west in Montego Bay.
Multi-link, access every town, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multi-Link logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multi-Link?
Still sweating with that old fan? It's time to upgrade! Meet Glacier, the AC unit that thinks for you. Energy efficient to slash your power bill. Wi-Fi enabled so you can control it from your phone. And self-cleaning because you've got better things to do. Powerful, smart, hassle-free. Call now at 876-923-6521-3. Gaddy's Refrigeration Limited, delivering the perfect cooling solution tailored to your needs.
Following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
In our third term, we will double the minimum wage from $16,000, what we have carried it to now, having almost tripled it, to $32,000. In our first budget, the minimum wage will move from $16,000 to $18,500 and then gradually after that for the next few years.
Why you think no love the party, yeah? Put the X beside the belly now.
Preceding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
It's time for a new look.
And high time to get serious about protecting our home and investment.
It's time to choose BH Paints with over 60 years experience in quality paint finishes. Their products are superior and long-lasting.
Time to check them out.
Ask about BH Paints 100% Acrylic Ultima Plus paint and primer in one. Experience rich colors with advanced UV and mildew-resistant technologies, independently tested by experts. What are you waiting for? Visit a BH Paints Color Center today.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5 on Revo TV. My name is Ricardo Brooks and I'm getting quite the baptism. I can literally call it a baptism of fire and water. Not used to TV, but I think I'm finding my way.
Live television.
Far. Absolutely. And, one of the things we want to talk to you about, listeners and viewers, is the new website, Revo News. You've been hearing about it all day. It's revonews.ai. There is a graphic, if you could just put it up, that advertises the platform. You want to go over to the website. You want to interact with it, get used to it. You'd have been used to the old Nationwide website. That's no longer there. It's revonews.ai. If you want to talk to Cliff, you can. All you need to do is sign up. Your news is there, your current affairs, breaking news, sports, entertainment, international, regional news. It's all there. And then on Wednesday, that is where you want to be. RevoNews.ai, for those of you who like to doom scroll as the results come in. I might be giving away secrets, but you want to be on the platform while you're watching on TV here, because a lot is going to be there for you. You can track the races, and you know what the race is, right? The race to 32.
What do you call it? Doom scroll?
Doom scrolling. So during an election campaign, it's a lot of doom scrolling. So obviously, you are worried. People are worried about the outcome.
Oh.
So you go on your phone,
yes,
and you pull up TikTok or X or Instagram, and you just start scrolling. And of course, there are negative headlines. There are people making predictions. There are people sharing their views. And depending on what the algorithm is feeding you, you can become either very happy or sad. Very sad.
Oh.
So the Americans call it doom scrolling.
Okay.
And because these platforms, Cliff, like to amplify negative messages, more likely than not, you're going to get the negative. So
okay.
They realize you're interacting a lot with PNP content.
Yes.
You might get a lot that say, boy, the PNP not doing so well, you know.
Okay.
And if it's JLP, boy, the Labourites look like they're under pressure. Yeah. So you sit there and you literally do it for hours, just scrolling. Scrolling, and the more you scroll, the more depressed you get, right? And so they tell you, get off the phone, go out into the field, do the work. I hope by now everyone has a plan to vote on Wednesday. You have a plan, right?
Yes.
You know what time you're going?
I'm going there first thing Wednesday morning at 7. Yeah. Get into the line as quickly as possible and get out to head down here.
Right. And for those of you who don't know where you vote, you can go on over to the EOJ's website. There's a query tab, and you enter your details, and it should bring up your information if you are indeed registered to vote, so you know exactly where you should vote. And make a plan. Know what time you're going to vote. You know, you get, 3 hours by law?
3 hours.
Right, to vote. So decide, is it in the morning, in that first wave? Is it when it slows in the afternoon? Or are you going to be one of those in line for the last minute rush? Of course, if you're in line when the polls close at 5, you're still entitled to vote, so you should stay in line. But to make a plan. I find that helps.
Yeah.
That helps. Yeah.
But back to the Revo app.
Yeah.
Yes? Tell us a little bit more. You were telling us about the content you can get from it, but the AI.
Yeah.
Yeah?
So Ask Cliff is there essentially. So what that does is that we've taken Cliff's voice, and he's able to answer a whole range of questions. And I'm telling you, viewers, I've tried to stomp it. I have not been able to. You can ask matters of fact, political history. You can ask it to pull up particular stories on the website. You can ask it to read those stories to you, and you can have it read to you in Patois or English. So if you want the Patois, it does that. And if you want Cliff with his O, you get the O. So to access that, though, of course, you'll need to sign up. But if you just want to, catch up on the news, as I said, breaking news and current affairs, sports, entertainment, business, regional, international, then you can absolutely go onto the platform, RevoNews.ai, and all the content is there. Be the first to experience news innovation, because it went live this morning.
So tell me, Ricardo, for those of us who are not skilled in this, how is it that the artificial intelligence, AI, is able to generate the answers to the question?
So artificial intelligence is essentially, it's pulling on a database, if you will, of information that's publicly available, right? And the more questions it gets, the more it learns. They call it machine learning. So based on what it's asked, and it's pulling on sources, it provides the answer, and then the more people interact with it, the more information it has to pull, the smarter it gets. And so as you go on, and you'll find, viewers, listeners, that the experience is customized to you. So the Revo website will begin to learn what you like. So I can already know for Cliff, Once he goes on, a lot of news and current affairs will come on, right? For George, he might get a lot of sports and horse racing with a lot of the politics. For me, it's going to be politics, right? So whatever your interest, so if it's business, if you're interested in what's happening in the region, internationally. Entertainment, it's going to feed that to you. So essentially, it personalizes the news content and news product to your liking. Yeah.
Good. And then the other one, can it be abused?
Well, I mean, all artificial intelligence can be abused, yeah. But I don't foresee any significant abuse, no, because in the back end, the Amber team has ensured that certain things are flagged, right? Certain things are walled off, and again, it's learning. So once it's learning that that's off bounds, it calibrates towards that.
Right. So people of ill will try.
They will.
Yeah?
No doubt.
Okay.
No doubt.
So that's AI.
RevoNews.ai. Yeah. And as soon as the apps are available, because I know a lot of people, this is it. Yeah. You really don't want to sit in front of a computer. It's a smartphone. As soon as the apps are available, we'll let you know, and you can download them from the Apple App Store or the Android Play Store.
So let's go to Wednesday.
Yes.
The big day.
Yes.
And the polling stations open at 7.
Yes.
And you are somewhere in Calgary, in Canada. You have been in meetings all day, and you want to get the latest on the general elections in Jamaica as they unfold throughout Sunday. You can go onto the app by 2 o'clock, and you can ask it, what has been the turnout so far in the Jamaican election?
Right. And our experienced team of reporters would have already been feeding that information and uploading that information to the site. So the AI capability will be able to quickly pull up that article from the website and let you know what's going on, right? So yeah, you can consistently be kept up to date as to what's happening.
And you don't have to pause to read, you just ask it.
Absolutely.
And you get the response.
Absolutely.
This is where it's a game changer, yeah? Because I can think of students, researchers, yeah, can accessing information, yeah, without having to read the 10 minutes, 15 minutes of material. You're going to be able to just bring it up.
Yeah.
And some people ask me, the opportunities for much more in terms of unearthing information for people. Research institutes that have built up ton loads of material over time. Yeah? This is something tailor-made for them.
Absolutely, because once that information, those databases are made available to the AI software, as I said, the machine learning, it will become essentially a vast library, and that will assist research. You know, we always talked about a revolution in media. Revo,
this is it.
By the way, Revo, a shortening of revolution, for those who haven't figured it out yet. But this is it. This is what it is. And I certainly think it's going to be a game changer. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. And on the election day itself, Mr. Brooks, what can we expect from around this table?
Well,
don't show them the table.
I won't. You're seeing just a snapshot, of what it is. It look good. It look good. It look real good. And of course, Cliff and George will be anchoring on Wednesday night. And then you'll get a chance to see the entire new home, the entire studio. And I understand there may be a surprise or two.
Yes.
So, it's going to be good.
When there's a winner declared, we have a little surprise for you.
Yes.
Yeah, in terms of how we're going to bring it to you. Yeah, and you should not miss our coverage on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
All right.
The 4% just got bigger. Donald Trump would say, huge.
Huge.
We're going to go to a special message now from the Transport Minister, Darrell Vaz, on the JPS license.
The following is a message from the Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport.
My fellow Jamaicans, good evening. For too long, the people of Jamaica have been unnecessarily burdened by the flawed negotiations in 2001 and 2016 by the previous PNP administrations, therefore not benefiting the Jamaican people. Our electricity prices remain among the highest in the region, and the system continues to show serious vulnerabilities, particularly in the face of hurricanes. This is unacceptable. We only have to remember Hurricane Beryl 1 year ago and the intervention that I, as minister, with the support of my administration, had to make on behalf of the Jamaican people after JPS failed on several occasions to meet the restoration deadlines. The Jamaican people suffered severe inconveniences, both economically and personally, and this must never happen again. The current license is deeply flawed and urgently needs reform. This past July presented us with a first opportunity in a generation to reform the system and put Jamaica first. Without decisive government intervention, the existing arrangements would have remained in place for at least another decade. The Jamaica Public Service Company currently holds a license to operate until July 2027. We have made it abundantly clear we will not renew the license on the same terms. In the meantime, JPS is required to continue operations under the conditions outlined in its existing licenses. The current electricity framework suffers from many issues, but I want to highlight 4 fundamental problems. 1. JPS holds a monopoly on transmission and distribution with a legal right of first refusal to replace generating assets. This stifles real and robust competition in the sector. 2. There is no independent system operator, which creates a conflict of interest in 2 distinct ways. JPS can prioritize its own generation, even when cheap alternatives exist. New independent power producers must negotiate a power purchase agreement with JPS, the very company they must compete with for generation. The system lacks adequate resilience to hurricanes, putting our people and economy at risk. There are insufficient incentives to reduce electricity losses, leading to inefficiencies that all Jamaicans ultimately pay for. Put simply, the existing license allows the licensee to maximize its profits without delivering corresponding benefits to the Jamaican people. The new electricity arrangements must achieve these clear goals: more competition in the sector, lower electricity prices, greater resilience during natural disasters, a cleaner, greener grid powered increasingly by renewables instead of imported fossil fuels. To achieve these goals, we will introduce greater competition in the electricity sector, implement stronger regulations where competition is limited, leverage technology and innovation to reduce system losses and improve reliability and resilience. These changes have been long overdue. The licenses negotiated in 2001 and 2016 by the previous PNP administration have not benefited the over 600,000 customers, affecting millions of Jamaicans. To make real change possible, this government has taken the necessary step of issuing a formal notice of its intention to purchase JPS, should that become necessary. Let me be clear. If JPS is willing to accept meaningful reform and fundamental changes, we can talk. Failing which, the government will proceed to acquire JPS and award a new licensee to operate on the conditions set out by the government of Jamaica, which will be to the benefit of the Jamaican people for the first time. We are already in receipt of interest by several credible and serious potential investors who are ready to step in and deliver for Jamaica. Let me hasten to reassure the hard-working staff of JPS. Your jobs are not at risk. Regardless of who operates the system after 2027, the continuity of employment and the valuable expertise you bring to the sector will be protected. This transition is about reforming the system, not disadvantaging the people who keep it running every day. This is not about the government taking over the operations. We do not expect the government to run the electricity system itself, but we are prepared to take this step to ensure that the Jamaican people get the system they deserve. The course of action is only possible now because of the improved state of public finances, thanks to the discipline and sacrifices made by the Jamaican people over the past decade. We are in a position to make bold decisions in the national interest. It's now time for Jamaica to reap the benefits of those sacrifices through an electricity system that is more affordable, more reliable, more resilient, and more sustainable. This minister and this administration are committed to Jamaica's energy independence at the national level, corporate level, and most importantly, ensuring that individual households can install solar, generate their own electricity, and enjoy lower prices. A new license and regulatory arrangement negotiated for the first time by a Jamaica Labour Party administration will finally liberate every Jamaican's lower-cost energy future. Jamaica, the choice is yours to decide. Let this minister and this administration do what the previous PNP administration failed to do on the last two negotiations. Thank you, and may God bless Jamaica. Have a pleasant evening.
This message was brought to you by the Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport.
A message there from the Energy and Science Minister, Darrell Vaz, on the government's efforts to renegotiate a new electricity license. And of course, Cliff, that's a major issue that looms over this campaign.
Yes.
The question of who gets to do that negotiation going forward.
And the government and Darrell Vaz have been trying to drive home the point that they will do a better job than Philip Paulwell and the PNP ministers of energy, because they have failed to deliver in the 2-3 previous iterations of negotiating an all-island electricity license. And they've been playing to that, yes? The government has been politicking on this because they know what it means when it comes to electricity prices for Jamaicans.
Yeah. And about this time, on Wednesday, we'll start to get an indication of the answer the Jamaican people have returned. Do they want Darrell Vaz to negotiate this license or Philip Paulwell? We're going to take a break and come back with your calls. The numbers, you know them well, 630-937-124, 618-8255.
Escape to Idle a While in a grill where sand and serenity meet. Visit idleawhile.com or call 876-957-3302. Idle a While and stay a while.
Jamaica's largest tile selection just got even bigger. Discover what's new at Active Home Center. With our latest arrivals, it's easier than ever to make your space truly unique. Explore ocean blues, botanical greens, and soft sandy neutrals that bring a calm, effortless vibe. From bold patterns to sleek, large format tiles in glossy or matte finishes, every room makes a statement. Shop now at Active Kingston and Montego Bay. Active Home Center. More savings, more choices.
The following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
In our third term, we will double the minimum wage from $16,000, what we have carried it to now, having almost tripled it, to $32,000. In our first budget, the minimum wage will move from $16,000 to $18,500, and then gradually after that for the next few years.
Why you think I love the party, yeah? Put the X beside the belly now.
Preceding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
It's Monday, get over your blues. Or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The E-Zone is here for you. With this thing I want to be.
And Karim Boyating
from 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
We've got your entertainment news.
Then we want to hear your views. Why you said?
Jump in the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss our brain busters.
Or the crazy giveaways.
Let's talk fashion.
Send us your outfit of the day. Ooh, cutesy. Very demure.
Are you looking for love?
Come on one of our blind dates. Send your request to ezoneblindates@gmail.com. That's ezoneblindates@gmail.com.
And stay tuned for your confessions.
These are my confessions.
Share them with us at ezoneconfessions@yahoo.com. I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow!
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton, weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Good evening, good evening. Thank you so much for staying with us. It's 21 minutes going up to 8 o'clock. You're watching Nationwide at 5 on Revo TV. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Ricardo Brooks, and we're taking your calls at 630-9371-4, 618-8255. Omalo, you're first up this evening. Good evening.
Blessings, Ricardo. Blessings, Cliff.
Good evening, Omalo.
Good evening. You know what, Ricardo? You're on TV now?
I am.
Did you get your makeup crew, your specialized personal makeup artist to make sure that everything is well and put together?
I did, and I'm reliably informed by Nora Gay that TV fit me, that my bebble done.
Okay,
so,
all right,
yeah.
all right. We only want to know say you've been taking care, I know. That's all we are worried about. You know, you
yes.
get your makeup crew.
Yeah, man. I got the face touched up twice.
And he gave you a little bit of advance where you could go to the gym and get yourself to get. And make sure you get a gym pass from him, okay? All right.
All right, Omalo.
All right. You know, I'm so proud of the Jamaica Labour Party and hearing the ads with Daryl Vaz because I was the one that keep pushing this and pushing it out there and TikTok and your radio station that is a competition between who is going to negotiate this energy bill for us. And I'm glad they pick it up and do what they're doing with it because that's a very, very important issue. Even now, so that the Prime Minister had said that they're going to move the minimum wage to a livable wage going to $32,000. You see, when you control the price of energy, you can put more money back into business people, and then this wouldn't be affecting business people because, say, for instance, you cut the energy cost to 20 cents rather than 40. Yes? Now we are putting money back in these people, and that they could now pay their overhead, which is wages. You see, the government is doing a lot of things that are putting money back in business and people, and that even me taking care of my household have more money in my pocket to pay my helper. Yes? So we have to look at it in these ways and don't look at it, it's going to be a shock to people. But look at it in the way where the government is in position to put back money in people, and because they don't have a Philip Paulwell energy policy to deal with, where Philip Paulwell never knew that LNG was going to be on the commodity market and the prices was going to change over time. He thought it was going to still be at 20 cents at the time when he negotiated. Yes, so we really are looking what is going on and listening to what the Prime Minister is saying, understanding a little bit of economics and how it works, understand that this is very doable and the government and Jamaica is in good hands.
And let me tell you something to Omalo, because there's a lot of hypocrisy I've seen today on this announcement. If you cast your mind back, the constant refrain about the minimum wage has been that it is too low, that people are suffering, that the state has been uncaring. And a lot of the people who made those arguments not long ago are now suddenly staunch capitalists who are worried about businesses going under. It's hypocrisy of the highest order. You know what it tells me? these people never truly cared about the poor. It was a performance, a matter of convenience, political convenience. And now that something is being done, suddenly, we don't care about small businesses. People don't care about small businesses. Yeah? Those of us who support the increase don't care about small businesses.
Small business is not going to have a problem. I record, I'll leave you by saying this. If the People's National Party supposed to campaign on what's going on in Jamaica, they will be campaigning for the Jamaica Labour Party. They have no choice. They have an election to try and win, and they are trying. And that's all they're going to do. I think the People's National Party right at this moment should be thinking who is going to be the opposition leader. That's all they should be running for right now.
All right. Okay, Omalu, have a good night. Good. Errol is our next caller. Errol?
Yes, up, Mr. Youth.
Where's the Bridget?
Oh, I'm there. You're gone international.
Every time.
Man, big up yourself, young Ricardo, man. But I'm not going to head piece again.
Right. So we don't have the head piece again.
Oh.
Good evening, Errol. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. 2 days ago. Renewing of prosperity, you know?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, man. 2 days to come, we are renewing with prosperity. You see it?
I hear you.
Yeah,
what will you be doing on election day? What are your tasks, your assignments?
Ricardo, how much time you want me to tell you, Ricardo?
No, but we never talk about if you're going to be a runner, driver, where you do?
A driver, me a driver.
You're a driver, okay.
Yeah, man.
Okay. You know all of your people in there?
Yeah, man. You know everybody there for go for, man.
So you get the list already?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow you get the list?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm a big up MP Mackenzie, you know?
So once you vote in West Kingston, you head to the east?
Right.
Okay. All right.
So you know, say, 7 o'clock with that polling station and as me. Yeah. Out.
All right.
So you know, them time here, Wednesday night, we declare, you know.
Oh.
Yeah, you declare? I'm here look to Belmont Road.
Okay.
What will you be declaring, Errol?
Right now, we are talking about 51, 52.
Errol. You hear
set up yourself.
You hear what your party leader say? When the rum tell you he's a big dancer.
That's for the opposition.
That what it so like you drink something.
Look here. We have, let me tell you, we have seats we are going to take out of the 14 from them, you know.
I see.
We have seats at Manchester where we are take. We have seats at St. Mary where we are take. We have 2 seats at St. Mary where we are take.
There's only one seat in St. Mary you can take, and you think that is possible?
You know, so when the Prime Minister go down the green.
You think you can defeat Omar Newell in Central St. Mary?
Of course, we're going to take it.
Errol, the rum is telling you he's a big dancer. He's a big dancer. And you feel like you're a dancer.
Don't be like Mr. Hughes, you know, and then surprisingly, you know.
Errol?
Yeah.
That not happen.
Not happen. You will see.
All right.
So give me how much idea seat you have for it. You give me.
How that go?
Give me an idea how much seat you have for it.
I am not in the business of political forecasting.
Let me talk to Mr. Hughes.
I hear you.
Yeah, I hear you, Errol.
Give me a run of how much seat you are giving.
Between 37 and 41.
That's what you are giving?
Yes.
All right, my boss. I record that. Go around the thing. I don't want
to go around nothing. Jamaican people will render their verdict, and whatever they return, that will be the count.
All right. Have a good night.
All right, Errol.
Yeah, Mr. Hughes.
Yes, sir.
Tuesday night, Wednesday night, boy. I want to talk to you Wednesday night, you know, so make sure you have what they call, you know.
Yeah, man.
All right, sir.
All right. Good.
The rum definitely telling Errol him is a big dancer.
Who's next?
630-9371-24-618-8255. Who done it? Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Ricardo. Good evening, Sir Cliff.
Good evening.
Good evening, YouTubers. Cliff.
Yes, sir.
Let me start with you. I like the look.
Yes, sir.
In terms of the step up, the prosperity, Ricardo, remember I tell you, Cliff was a dash of PNP, step up. Yes, man. Right, sir, Cliff?
I'm listening to you, sir.
You're listening to me.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. The minimum wage now. Cliff, you'd have had this stuff. Can you remember the PNP has ever raised the minimum wage?
I'm sure they have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a long while. Yeah. It's been a long while because.
I recall, and if I come to them, they love the poor people. Why is it that the JLP has region it now about what? It will be now the fourth time.
I can't recall how many, but
yes, if they get a third term and they execute, I think it would be the fourth time. Yes.
Yeah, about the fourth time now.
But I recall clearly when the GLP came to power, it was at about 6,500.
Right, yeah.
And it is now at 16.
Yeah.
Yeah? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's good, but I think the economy is ready to step up so some people can, get a little bit wages and all of that, get a little more money in their pocket. With 3.5, one jump by the PNP is definitely, I agree with Favor, but it's an election.
Mm-hmm.
It's an electioneering scam.
Yeah.
To really move something like that, according to one economist, I believe it was Keith Duncan saying that for you to move it to that one jump, your economy would have to be growing at a rate now at about 5 to 8%. Now, there's no guarantee that the PNP, according to what they are saying, that they are going to implement it on the basis that the economy is going to grow. When they have a very dismal record of growth, the economy, I don't think the economy has ever even grown under the PNP. So, I mean, I don't see anybody want to buy into something like that, So, that's my take on it. As we now head towards Wednesday, I just want to remind voters to prepare themselves. I mean, get your raincoat, your water boot, and in some cases you might have to get a bulldozer or something to clear, because some people like to block roads and all of that, especially I heard of a roadblock that occur in northeast Manchester. So, yes, I remember, Chris. So just be prepared for rain and anything going out there, coming out. No, nothing going to stop us. And then there'll be some people out there now trying to trick you. Tell you that your name are not on the voters list and all of those things. I mean, I work with he was Gregor Mayor in Northeast Fenton, in a district called Hamwark. You know that place? Yes?
Up in where? St. Catherine?
Yeah, Northeast St. Catherine.
Yes, I know Hamwark.
Yeah, man, and I was there on the ground when some PNP people placed themselves at the polling station and were telling voters, LP voters, that their name weren't on the voters list. Mm-hmm. And I had to debunk that and tell them no such thing, because I have the list and I presented their name and allow them to go inside and vote. So PNP come with all type of shenanigans here. Black road, various things, All
right, who done it? Thanks for the call. Alex, good evening.
Good evening, Cliff.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Ricardo.
Good evening.
Yeah, man. I know that time is against us, so let me go quickly. First, I want to congratulate Nationwide for continuing to innovating. As an investor in the stock market, I hope at some point there will be a listing so that the ordinary man like me who listens to Nationwide regularly can get some equity.
A piece
in
of
the
it.
space.
Yes,
yeah, man.
sir.
Definitely. All right, let us move in the politics, Cliff. So, two things worry me. The fact that Mark Golding in the national debate, he proffered the view that once the debt is reduced to 60%, what it allows the government to do. I mean, I am troubled by that, because reducing to 60% to me, to GDP, does not mean that it is time for us to go on a spending spree. I would love to hear him say that we will continue to work to reducing the debt more and more, because what has given us the space to do a lot of the social programs that the government is now embarking upon is a continual reduction of the debt. And for me, it seems as if the People's National Party has taken the posture that, boy, we just can't wait for the debt to GDP come down to 60. That we can start press. I don't think that is the way to go. You should just continue to reduce it so you can create more fiscal space to do all of the social program.
Yes.
That is what I would say. And the other thing, the other half to that I have a concern with, if you're going to now spend your savings, because that is what the primary surplus is. I have always learned that you must put up your emergency saving. So for me, we learned, say, boy, you know, you have your 6 to 8 months worth of savings just in case any emergency. You could be sick and you have to wait on time for the insurance to pay out. You're going to need to take care of yourself in that time, or you might get laid off from your job or something. Now, the country went through the COVID pandemic. We never have to lay off any public sector workers. We were able to take care of some of our citizens who were laid off. I am concerned about us troubling the primary surplus, which is our savings. You don't trouble your rainy day money.
No, it's a rainy day.
Yes. So I have a problem with that type of posturing coming from the People's National Party, knowing the track record of Omar in the 90s and early 2000s. Yeah, man. And to the minimum wage issue now, Cliff, I really believe that it is possible for the minimum wage. Of course, it cannot be done in one fell swoop, but I definitely believe that the JLP over time can increase it to 32,000. And the reason why I believe so, Cliff, is that right now, given how low the wages are, how low the unemployment rate is, pardon me, it's now an employees market. So what you are going to naturally find is what we call labor wage inflation. So you currently have employers competing against each other for the limited labor, and we need to bring more people into the labor force, incentivize them. So that is why I believe that the Prime Minister, who has always been very calculated, has looked at it with his cabinet and said, well, we need to see what we can do about the minimum wage, and take in consideration as well. I just heard the message with Darrell Vaz. I mean, I am presuming that should the government have a positive negotiation with JPS, and we can reduce things like our fuel bill and so on, it would ease the burden that this increase in wage would have on the micro and medium and small businesses as well, Cliff.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Can't
Those
fault
are the
that.
points that I really want to make.
Cannot fault that. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. I think that's where we're going to leave it for today. Nationwide at 5, debuting on Revo TV. Yes. Thank you all so much for being with us. Thanks to the production crew at Ocean Boulevard. Yes. Thank you all. Michael Edwards and his team of producers, videographers, camera operators, floor manager, and of course the Nationwide team as well. Yeah. Integrating slowly into the production system. Thank you all so much. Dana Davey was our producer this evening. I see Nora Gay turning up here, yeah, to give supervisory attention. I don't know what.
She's supporting me. Yeah, it's about supporting me.
Oh?
Yeah.
I wonder why.
My biggest fan, you know, Nora.
Oh, I learned something.
Yeah.
Thank
She
you.
might produce you, but she's a fan of me.
I see. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Nora. Thanks to all the members of the team, to our callers, our viewers, our YouTubers, our WhatsAppers, and our tweets. The YouTubers, they're having a field day, with the new facility we have here. They're enjoying it.
As they should.
Yeah.
And remember to log on to revonews.ai, and access the new website and make a plan to vote. Very important. If you're registered, make a plan.
Vote. Because if you don't vote, somebody else is going to vote for you.
Yeah.
Good. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Ricardo Brooks.
Reminding you, take care of your loved one and look out for your neighbor. Good night.
Good night.
In Jamaica, your rights are protected by our Constitution, from the right to education to freedom of expression.